and reputation. Fourth, your goods and services are not reaching the buying public in a timely manner. So these are the problems. So with opportunity, you may or may not have problems. If the problems are existing, then you must identify and list them out at the outset. Second step is set objectives, budget, and timetables. Now, whenever I am doing my research, it is not that my research should go endlessly. There should be some time frame within which I need answers. There should be some time frame within which I need answers to my research questions. So a schedule has to be developed and a budget, because in doing the research, money is spent, whether I am hiring a marketing research firm or I am collecting the data myself by employing some force. A budget has to be allocated, and that budget amount is has also to be decided at the outset, that what is my budget for doing the research. Objectives: explore the nature of problem so you may further define it. Determine how many people will buy your product packaged in a certain way and offered at a certain price. Test possible cause and effect relationships. For example, if you lower your price by 10%, what increased sales volume could you expect, and what impact will this strategy will have on your profit? Budget. Your market research budget is a proportion of your overall marketing budget. Allocate a small percentage of gross sales for the most recent year to use on marketing research. It is usually about 2% of the existing business. When planning to launch a new product or business, you may want to increase your budget to as much as 10% of your expected gross sales. Other methods include analyzing and estimating the competition's budget, आपके competitors का क्या budget है, and calculating your cost of marketing per sale. So you have to see what is the cost you are bearing in promoting the product and doing the research, and what are the benefits you are gaining. So cost benefit analysis have to be done simultaneously to be profitable in the long run. Timetable. Prepare a detailed timeline to complete all steps of the marketing research process. Establish target dates that will allow the best accessibility to your market. For example, a holiday greeting card business may want to conduct research before or around the holiday season buying period, when its customers are most likely to be thinking about their purchases. Select research type, methods, and techniques. Now, two types of research are available: primary research and secondary research. Primary research is original information gathered for a specific purpose, and secondary research is information that already exists somewhere. So, in primary research, it may be done through questionnaire, it may be done through in depth interviews, it may be done through observation, focus group discussions, expert opinions, etc. And secondary research is information that is already existing somewhere, maybe census data by government, maybe research that has been already been done by the organization in similar area in which you want. So you get some idea about it from the result they obtain from their research. So that is secondary. Secondary में there are various sources available. आपके journals हैं, publications हैं, census data है, and so on. So secondary research, uh, although it is not the direct information I am obtaining from the customers by first hand, but there are certain advantages due to which it is also used dominantly in various areas. Now, again, it depends on research. If my research is exploratory research where I need to explore about my new venture, then naturally the existing resources will not work. There, I need to go for primary research where I will gather first hand information. But if suppose the like a builder's project. It is a project which has been running for a long time, and you know what is the estimated cost of building of having an apartment, how what will be the cost incurred, so you will get estimate about it. Similarly, if it is a residential area and you want to build a plot for 3 floors, then similar projects have been taken up by the other builders. I can see the estimated cost. So that is the secondary data. Secondary research is faster and less expensive than primary research. Gathering secondary research may be as simple as making a trip to your local library or business information center or browsing the internet. Even internet, a lot of published material you get, that is a secondary source. It utilizes information already published, surveys, books, magazines, etc. Localized figures provide better information as local conditions might buck national trends. Newspapers and other local media are helpful. Many sources of secondary research material are available. It can be found in libraries. Gale's directory is available at any public library, colleges, trade and business publications and newspaper. Trade associations and government agencies are rich sources of this secondary data. Example of secondary research, an article may show how much working mothers spent on convenience foods last year. If you were thinking about selling a convenience food, this information would show you what kind of market there is for convenience food. It does. Convenience food is basically ready to eat foods which take less time to prepare. It doesn't show you how much they are willing to spend on your particular product. So through articles, you get what will be your target customers and on an average how much they spend. So some article might be published in this context and that will be a good source of information for your business. Primary research. Primary research can be as simple as asking customers or suppliers how they feel about a business or as complex as surveys conducted by professional marketing research firms. Examples of primary research are direct mail questionnaires, online or telephone surveys, experiments, panel study, test marketing, behavior observation. Primary research. It is divided into reactive and non reactive research. Non reactive research is observes how real people behave in real market situations without influencing that behavior. Suppose people are there in a mall and the shopkeepers at the mall, some of them plan to employ 2 persons who are just observing the behavior of people that are entering a mall, that in which direction they are going and what are their tastes and preferences in that area. So the purpose of these two employed persons is to just observe that what is the tendency of people, whether they have come for window shopping or they have come for actual shopping, and if they are coming for actual shopping, then which is the uh, area they are more attracted to. So this is a non-reactive research because respondents don't even know that someone is observing them, their behavior of how they are roaming about in a mall. But this gives a relevant information to the shopkeepers about their tastes and preferences of the general people who are entering the area. Then is reactive research. It includes surveys, interviews, and questionnaires. This research is best left to marketing professionals as they usually can get more objective and sophisticated results. Those who cannot afford high priced marketing research services should consider asking nearby college or university business schools for help. So, in academics, if you want to go for some research at what should be the which subject should I offer? So I can see the general taste and preferences of the people, geographical locations near my vicinity, and the colleges, other colleges which are offering, and I may, um, after seeing the results of the reports that they have collected, that how in which particular area students are more interested in, I can launch those particular courses. Design research instruments. The most common research instrument is questionnaire. Now, this is questionnaire is basically a primary research instrument where you are asking the direct information, first-hand information from the target customers or potential customers. Keep these tips in mind when designing your marketing research questionnaire. Some of the tips are discussed here in your first chapter, and I have also discussed it in detail towards the end because it can be a complete question that give a detailed procedure of how to design a questionnaire or a case study may be asked that this is a particular situation and give a template of the questionnaire, putting in different type of questions, the and also keeping in mind that some questions that should be avoided and some questions that are beneficial. So we'll go into the detail of these. So questionnaire design is an important topic here. Keep these tips in mind when designing your marketing research questionnaire. Keep it simple. Include instructions for answering all questions. Now you know whenever I have distributed the questionnaire, so it should be self understandable because you are not near the person who is filling it. You might not be there. So he should understand what the question is asking. So they have to be given in an easy language. Begin the survey with general questions and move toward more specific questions. Sensitive questions should be avoided. The questions whose answer they are not willing to reply. Say, what is your income level? No one will state their true income level. If still it is very much relevant for your study, asking the income of a person, then you can specify some range so that you know that in which range people are lying rather than asking what is your exact income because that no one will be able to, no one wants to reveal. Design a questionnaire that is graphically pleasing and easy to read. So the font size, etc., it should be properly readable, and also the sequence of questions should flow in a proper manner. Before printing the survey, ask a few people to complete the survey and give feedback. Mix the form of questions for different sections of questionnaire. So there are different types of questions that can be asked, and we'll discuss in detail in the following slides. Scales, that is scaling technique, which are used like Likert scale, staple scale, semantic differential scale, and so on. Ranking, it is uh, I am giving a list of subjects and ask them to rank which is most preferred and which is least preferred. Open-ended questions where you are just giving fill in the blanks to write whatever they want. Closed-ended questions where you have specific options that are being provided, like multiple choice questions or yes no questions. So these are closed-ended. So in our questionnaire, uh, different types of questions should be included. The form or way a question is asked may influence the answer given. Questions are in two forms, closed-end questions and open-end questions. Type of closed-end questions include MCQs, yes and no questions, means there are specific list of options through among which you have to select anyone. Scales refer to questions that ask respondents to rank their answers or measure their answer at a particular point on a scale. So it is a continuous rating. For example, a respondent may have the choice to rank his or her feelings toward a particular statement. The scale may range from strongly disagree, then there is a point on scale disagree, indifferent, that is neutral, then towards right, agree, and strongly agree. Now, according to your feelings, your perceptions about the particular statement, you will place your tick mark accordingly. Open-ended questions, respondents answer questions in their own words. Now, the all your subjective papers are open-ended because you have to present your answers in your own way. Types of open-ended questions include word association questions. They ask respondents first word that comes to mind when a part is mentioned. Like I just give an initiation or stimulation to a particular sentence and then leave it open ended. Then what is the idea that comes to your mind after reading the initial sentence that will give you the your way of thinking about it? For example, a question might read, when I eat toast and jelly, I use dash brand of jelly and it usually costs about dash per jar. So this particular statement is giving some reference of toast and jelly. Then it is basically trying to ask you the brand of jelly that you are preferring and how much you are capable and willing to pay per jar. Then collect data. Step
Excuse me,
5.
ma'am.
Yes, yes.
मैम हाउ इट इज ओपन एंडेड बिकॉज अगर वहां पे हम स्केल यूज कर रहे हैं तो वो क्लोज एंडेड और यहाँ पे हम जैसे उसको फिल करने को दे रहे हैं तो ये ओपन एंडेड कैसे हो गया
हाँ,
हमें तो उसकी
ये ओपन
प्रेफरेंस
एंड
पता
हाँ
चल रही है
हाँ, ये ओपन एंडेड इसलिए ओपन एंडेड का मतलब होता है कि आपके पास स्पेसिफिक लिस्ट ऑफ चॉइसेस नहीं है. Multiple choice question में I am listing you option A, B, C, D. Even if you have some other option in mind, you are not given the list of options in your closed-ended question. So your options are closed there. But here, when I am giving a fill in the blank, then in this fill in the blank, he can put any brand, maybe national, international, 110 ब्रांड हो उनमें से कोई भी ब्रांड डाल सकता है तो दैट इज एन ओपन एंड. Similarly, cost about dash per jar. I am not listing rupees 100, 200, 300, 400. It may be any price. It may be in dollars. It may be in pounds. So the uh, since the options which should be filled in these fill in the blanks are not fixed, that is why it is open ended. So open ended doesn't mean that it will never be in a sentence form. Open ended means that the you can fill anything in the fill in the blanks, not just specific list of options. Is it fine?
it is because we are not getting the information we want.
No, it is because like when I eat toast and jelly, I use dash brand of jelly. If I end my question here or dash की जगह I give you four options that jelly के चार options दे दूं brand A, brand B, brand C and brand D. कि अगर उसी ए बी सी डी ब्रांड में से ए बी सी डी ही लिखना है मुझे यहाँ तो वो क्लोज एंडेड होता बिकॉज आई हैव प्रोवाइडेड ओनली फोर ब्रांड्स and you have to select any one brand out of it. But here I am not giving you any option. You, by your wisdom, whatever brand you are using, I may not be aware of even that brand. हो सकता है वो इंटरनेशनल ब्रांड हो यहाँ पे उतना प्रेवलेंट भी ना है आप रिलेटिव से यूएस से कनाडा से या लंदन से वो ब्रांड मंगवा रहे हो लेकिन वो ब्रांड आप पुट करोगे यहाँ पे तो मेरे को टेस्ट एंड प्रेफरेंस पता लग जाएगा कस्टमर इज लाइकिंग दैट ब्रांड मैं उसे लिस्ट ऑफ ऑप्शंस नहीं दे रही. If you are not providing any list of specific options, then it is an open-ended question because it can be any answer from the respondent side. Is it clear?
ठीक है
Okay. So moving ahead, this is a form of open-ended question, and it is also using word association question that I am giving some reference that I specifically want to know the brand of toast and jelly. Collect data to obtain clear, unbiased, and reliable results. Collect the data under the direction of experienced researchers. Before beginning data collection, you must train, educate, and supervise your research staff. If the data is collected appropriately, then only your research will be successful. So, this is a very important um, step that if you are collecting data yourself, you know that what kind of data needs to be collected. But if you are employing some force, then you have to train people who are employed for doing data collection that how to collect it so that the data uh, collected at the end is in usable form for you. Untrained staff conducting primary research will lead to interviewer bias. Stick to the objectives and rules associated with the methods and techniques you have set in step 2 and 3. Be as scientific as possible in gathering your information. Scientific means there should be a systematic way of collecting it. Organize and analyze the data. Once data has been collected, it needs to be cleaned. Clean means if there is some missing information that has to be taken care of. If there are outliers, present outliers means those options are not available and extreme figures are there. They have to be cleaned out and so on. Whatever missing information is there, that have to be treated appropriately. Cleaning research data involves editing, coding, and tabulating results. Start with a simple design research instrument or questionnaire. Look for data focusing on immediate market needs. Rely on subjective information only as support for more general findings of objective research. Analyze for consistency. Compare the results of different methods of your data collection. It may be a case that I'm gathering the same information through questionnaire and similar research has been carried out by other agency. I'm using secondary research data from the published reports as well. So then after my research is over, I may compare the results of both primary and secondary sources. Look for common opinions that may be counted together. Then step 7 is present and use market research findings. Basically, it is preparing a research report. Whatever you have gained out of your research that has to be presented in a summarized form. Once marketing information is collected and analyzed, present it in an organized manner to the decision makers of business. You may want to report your findings in the market analysis section of your business plan. You may want to familiarize your sales and marketing department with the data or conduct a company wide informational training seminar using the information. Assess available information. Assess the information that is immediately available. You may have the information you need to support your marketing plan without doing extensive market research. Weigh the cost of gathering more information against the potential usefulness. As I said earlier, the research, when we are doing research, we have to do cost benefit analysis simultaneously. When we see that cost is more than benefit gained, then I'll stop my research because it should be worthy. Whatever time, effort, cost I'm spending, it should be worthy and it should bring at least that much result, which is covering up my cost. Gather additional information before considering surveys or field experiments. Look at currently held information, sales records, complaints, receipts, other records that show where customers live and work and how and what they buy. So these are besides my primary research. Maybe I'm conducting a primary research through questionnaire, but besides that, I have to see other information related to the complaints, receipts, and demographic information of the potential customers. Credit records are an excellent source of information. They give information about customer jobs, income levels, marital status. Employees may be the best source of information about customer likes and dislikes. They hear customers' minor gripes about the store or service, the ones customers don't think important enough to take to the owner. Employees are aware of the items customer request that you do not stock. Maybe it's a grocery store or a departmental store or a clothing store. You have seen that on various floors there are sales representatives. Now, whatever customers are talking about or they are searching for a particular product, it might be available at a store or not. But those employees get the information that wha- um, what are the customers liking and which are the products or colors or flavors that are being preferred by them. And if they are available in the store, you have that information that these should be stocked at um, in larger amount than the other flavors. And if they are not available, then that should be a relevant information for um, for further that these products should also be there in your store. So the employees in the store, they see what are you talking about and what are you asking them, and then they jot down the important points that through these their sales will can be increased or not. They often can supply good customer profiles from their day-to-day contact. So these are, I have just written down the additional suggested readings I have discussed in class too, besides your SLM. But your SLM has all these information which I am telling you through the slides. For detail, you can go through these Malhotra and Dash, Cooper and Skindler. So one book is, which I said earlier, Naresh Malhotra ki achhi hai, and there is marketing research by R. Nargundkar. So they have case study, all these concepts that I'm telling you, they are listed down pretty well in those books as well. Measurement and scaling techniques. Now, the first chapter was what is marketing research, what are its advantages, limitations, what kind of data is available, then questionnaire design. These are primary and secondary sources. So this is all that we will be discussing in detail in the following slide. Now, when we are collecting data or we are putting questions, then there are certain techniques depending upon the type of variable. So there are measurement and scaling techniques which are used. So measurement means assigning numbers or other symbols to characteristics of objects. This is a very important question from interview point of view as well as your subjective exam of marketing research. Discuss in detail the various measurement techniques. Discuss in detail the various scaling techniques with suitable or relevant examples. It can be a full 12-mark question. When I am saying measurement techniques deal with assigning numbers. And there are four measurement scales which are used. It is your nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Measurement में ये चारों को आप what are their characteristics, where they should be used, in what kind of data they are applicable, what are the specific examples. In scaling, scale में जैसे हमने किए कि least your disagree to agree wala scale है, strongly disagree to strongly disagree, or strongly um, preferred to not preferred. So these are scales which we'll be doing, and there are semantic differential, staple scale, Likert scale, Q sort, and other procedures. We'll discuss them. So in measurement means assigning numbers or other. This is an important question. Measurement techniques and scaling techniques. आप अगर आप past year papers देखो, you will certainly get one or the other question from this section, and this is very scoring. You can write, you can elaborate answers by giving examples. Measurement means assigning numbers or other symbols to characteristics of objects according to certain pre-specified rules. We measure not the object, but some characteristics of it. Thus, we do not measure consumers, only their perceptions, attitudes, preferences, or other relevant characteristics are measured. Scaling may be considered as an extension of measurement. It involves creating a continuum. Continuum means continuous line, like a real line, on which measured objects are located. Scaling is the process of placing the respondents on a continuum with respect to their attitude towards banks. In our example, scaling is the process by which respondents would be classified as being an unfavorable, neutral, or positive attitude. Now, primary scales of measurement. There are four primary scales of measurement: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. The first two, that is nominal and ordinal, are non-metric, and the other interval and ratio are metric. Metric is where your quantitative measurements are involved, like mean, median, mode, up, और arithmetic measures यूज कर रहे हो. नॉन मेट्रिक इज जहाँ पे आपको आगे मैथमेटिकल कैलकुलेशंस नहीं. Nominal scale. A nominal scale is a figurative labeling scheme or plan in which the numbers serve only as labels for identifying and classifying the object. So nominal scale की जो main keyword है that is labeling for which is used for the purpose of identification. For example, the numbers assigned to respondents in a study constitute a nominal scale. Thus, a female respondent may be assigned a number 1 and a male respondent 2. When a nominal scale is used for purpose of identification, there is a strict one-to-one correspondence between the numbers and objects. You have seen in cricket match also the players have different numbers on their t-shirts. वो players को identify करने के लिए numbers हैं. So these are nominal scales, just a labeling to identify a particular object. Similarly, horses are there in a race. So horses are given some numbers. Tags are allocated to them. Again, this is a labeling. So it is an example of a nominal scale. Each number is assigned to only one object and each object has only one number assigned to it. No matter which one is first or second, ये players के numbers हैं, number assigned to runners. Common example include student registration number at their college or university, numbers assigned to football players or jockey in a horse race. In marketing research, nominal scales are used for identifying respondents, brands, attributes, banks, and other objects. When used for classification purposes, the nominal scale number served as label for classes or categories. For example, you might classify the control group as group 1 and experimental group as group 2. The classes are mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. Mutually exclusive means if a person is in group 1, then he will not be in group 2. And if a person is in group 2, then he will not be in group 1. Collectively exhaustive means a person will either be in group 1 or group 2 because there is no other case. Example, mutually exclusive exhaustive का income level below 5 uh, below 2 lakhs per annum. तो या तो बंदा below 2 lakhs per annum में होगा या above होगा. So these are mutually exclusive and exhaustive. Only a limited number of statistics, all of which are based on frequency counts, are permissible. Naturally, when these are just labels, सिर्फ लेबलिंग है तो लेबलिंग में उन नंबर्स का एक्चुअल कुछ मीनिंग नहीं है. उसका मीन एवरेज निकाल के आई विल नॉट गेट एनी इंफॉर्मेशन. सो दीज I can just say that in category 1, these many people are there. So frequency counts are the relevant analysis which can be used. These include percentages, mode is the particular category which is having the maximum number of frequency. Chi-square test we'll do ahead, and binomial test. It is not meaningful to compute an average student registration number, average gender of respondents in a survey, or the number assigned to an average bank. Examples of nominal scale is gender, where female or male, marital status, married, single, divorced, nationality, and so on. Which kind of media do you use? Newspaper, television, interview. Now again, this is your one of the MCQs. It may have number in brackets, then newspaper will be number 1, television number 2. Those labels are just used for numbering purposes. What can we do or cannot with nominal measures? Percentage of numbers can be calculated, 40% male and 60% female. It cannot be ranked. Arithmetic means cannot be calculated. Mode and frequencies can be calculated. Example is showing that the frequency of people with each nationality and how much proportion they constitute. Ordinal scale is a ranking scale in which numbers are assigned to objects. So ordinal has one extra characteristic from nominal. It is a higher scale than nominal. Tag is already there, but a certain order is assigned. So ordinal scale is a ranking scale in which numbers are assigned to objects to indicate the relative extent to which the object possesses some characteristic. An ordinal scale allows you to determine whether an object has more or less of characteristic than some other object, but not how much more or less. उससे बड़ा है, उससे छोटा, ये तो पता लग जाएगा. उससे ज्यादा बेहतर है, उससे खराब है, ये भी पता लग जाएगा. बट कितना बेहतर है और कितना खराब है, what is the extent to which one person is exceeding in performance than the other, that is not shown in the ordinal scale. Thus, an ordinal scale indicates relative position, not the magnitude of differences between the objects. The object ranked first has more of the characteristic as compared with the object ranked second. But whether the object ranked second is a close second or a poor second is not known. Means, take for example, one person has scored 100 out of 100 and the second highest marks are 88 in one school. In the other school, first uh, rank holder has scored 100 and second rank holder has scored 99.9. तो आपका आपने उसमें भी स्कूल ए में भी फर्स्ट और सेकंड रैंक दिया जबकि डिफरेंस वाज ऑफ 12%. आपने सेकंड स्कूल में भी फर्स्ट सेकंड रैंक दिया जबकि डिफरेंस वाज वेरी मार्जिनल 0.1%. तो हेयर द मैग्नीट्यूड इज नॉट नोन. रैंक 1 रैंक 2 आपको नहीं पता उसमें बहुत स्लाइट डिफरेंस है या ज्यादा डिफरेंस है. Common examples of ordinal scales include quality ranking, ranking of teams in a tournament, occupational status. In marketing research, ordinal scales are used to measure relative attitude, opinion, perception, and preferences. Measurements of this type include greater than or less than judgment from the respondents. Usage frequencies of 4 milk brands by two consumers. So, two consumers are given and milk brands. The first consumer, August, he preferred brand C the most, given rank 1, and brand D the least. And the second customer, Gokin, they prefer brand B the most and brand A the least. So this is just a ranking for the milk brands by two customers. This table shows that August prefers C to B, B to A, and A to D, but do not show how much prefers. So this scale is non-metric and ordinal. Interval scale. In an interval scale, numerically equal distance on the scale represents equal values in characteristic being measured because it is a metric. So basically here in interval scale, पहली दोनों की तो सारी characteristics होती हैं. This is a higher scale than ordinal. तो जो nominal में और ordinal में था वो तो interval में होगा ही. But besides that, the differences here is meaningful and it is a metric scale. An interval scale contains all the information of ordinal scale, but it also allows you to compare the differences between objects. Difference between any two scale values is identical to the difference between any two other adjacent values of an interval scale. There is a constant or equal interval between scale values. The difference between 1 and 2 is the same as the difference between 2 and 3, which is the same as difference between 5 and 6. The common example in everyday life is temperature scales. In marketing research, attitudinal data obtained from rating scales are often treated as interval data. Interval is a metric scale, so it is possible to calculate arithmetic mean. Interval scale can be 5, 7, or 9 level scale. Let us assume that 200 students have answered the question above as follow. Calculate the arithmetic mean. So participation degree, it is basically a scale which is being used from, which is giving preference from strongly disagree to strongly agree. A particular statement is given and then based on the degree of agreement that a particular respondent feels, he will take on a particular position. Now out of 200 people, 75 people, they strongly agree, 64 agree but not strongly, 38 neutral, 18 disagree, and 5 strongly disagree. So we have computed the percentage and it comes to be 37.5, 32, 19, 9, and 2.5. By mistake, it is comma, it should be point. The arithmetic
Ma'am,
mean. Yes,
Hello.
yes.
Ma'am, can you give another example of interval scale?
Yeah, it will come. It will come in the following slides when I'll discuss in detail the questionnaire design. Interval
Sure.
scale का example तो temperature ही है. Reason I tell you, our interval and ratio scales both are metric scales. And uh, where is the difference? In interval scale, differences are meaningful. Ratio is not meaningful. In ratio scale, differences are also meaningful. Ratios are also meaningful. The second difference is interval scale में there is no absolute zero. No absolute zero or no absolute origin. In ratio scale, there is an absolute origin or absolute zero. Now, what does this mean? Uh, आप याद रखो इंटरवल में टेम्परेचर इज द एग्जाम्पल एंड रेशियो में प्रोडक्शन इज द एग्जाम्पल. Through these two examples, you will be have a clear understanding of scale. If I talk about temperature, saying that there is zero temperature, it doesn't mean that there is no temperature at all. Zero here is not giving no. Zero here means it is one level of temperature which is there. But if I am saying zero production, it means there is no production. If I am saying zero marks, it means there is no marks. So there is absolute zero in ratio. Also, when I say the temperature of city A is 20 degrees Celsius, the temperature of city B is 40 degrees Celsius. When I'm comparing the temperature of two cities, I always say that this is this much warmer or this much colder than the other city. I do not say that this city has double the temperature as the other city. So, in temperature, ratios are not meaningful and there is no absolute zero or origin. Whereas in ratio scale, there is absolute zero origin. Zero indicates no. And there the ratios are meaningful. If I'm saying production in year 2020 is this much and production in year 2025 it is this much, I can compare the production, it is 1.5 times or 3 times or half times. So that way ratios are meaningful. So keep two examples in mind, temperature for interval scale and production for ratio scale. Now, weighted arithmetic mean they have just taken the weights as frequency and the rating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the numbers, and they have computed the weighted mean, which is 3.93. Means 3.93 means on a scale of 1 to 5, 3.93 is more towards 5. So it is in agree mode rather than disagree. Interpretation of result, the arithmetic means the average of population is 3.93, which it means that the population almost agree that they are proud of their country. Ratio scale possesses all the properties of nominal, ordinal, and interval scales, and in addition, an absolute 0 point. Thus, in ratio scales, we can identify or classify objects, rank the objects, and compare intervals or differences. It is also meaningful to compute ratios of scale values. In marketing, sales, cost, market share, and number of customers are variables measured on ratio scale. In economics, income, inflation rate, exchange rate, population, income per capita are good examples of ratio scale. Now, all measurements together, nominal. Now, the first figure shows that only a horse rider with a horse number 7 is there. So, it is a nominal. A label is attached. In ordinal, three horses are there. We can see that horse number 7 is at the first position, 6 at the second position, and 5 at the third position. So, a particular order that who is the fastest and who will win and who is at a slow pace. Order is there along with the tag. Interval में, now I know that there is 1 second difference between horse number 7 and 6 and 20 seconds difference between horse number 6 and 5. So the difference are meaningful that how much time is needed to cross the other horse. This is an example of interval. and ratio, how much uh, distance they have covered in what time. So these time and distance can be in fractions. So this is a ratio scale in a continuum. 1 minute 59 2 by 5 seconds for 1 by 4 miles. Now these are other examples of nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Nominal are used, the numerical operations allowed in nominal are counting, in ordinal counting and ordering, in interval common arithmetic operations, and ratio all arithmetic operations. Scaling techniques. Now scaling techniques, there are two broad type of scales, comparative scales and non-comparative scales. In comparative scales, we have paired comparison, rank order, constant sum, Q sort, and other procedures. आपको first three main करनी है. Q sort का I'll give you an example. Non-comparative scales में again it is further classified into continuous scale and itemized rating scales. In itemized, they are subdivided into Likert, semantic differential, and staple scale. We'll discuss each one of them in detail in the following slide. Now, paired comparison scaling. A respondent is presented with two objects and asked to select one according to some criteria. The data obtained are ordinal in nature. A respondent may state that he or she prefers Alcott chocolate to Nestle, likes Mars ice cream better than Algida. So, based on two objects given at a time, which is more preferred than the other? This is done in paired comparison scaling. These are frequently used when the stimulus objects are physical products. Coca-Cola is reported to have conducted more than 190,000 paired comparisons before introducing new Coke. Paired comparison scale is the most widely used comparative scaling technique. Comparing four different package materials by using 0-1 scale. 1 is preferring the column to the row and 0 is preferring the row to the column. This is given. Material is glass, plastic, can, carton. Now, which material is preferred over other? If you see, all the diagonal elements are put by dash. क्योंकि ग्लास में तो कोई कंपैरिजन हो ही नहीं सकता, वो तो सेम चीजें हैं. सिमिलरली प्लास्टिक no comparison can be done. That is why diagonal is 0. Now here we have written that 1 means preferring column to the row. So glass can को अगर देखें वहां पे 1 है. It means can is preferred than glass. Glass plastic में it is 0. It means row में glass है और column में plastic है. When I see 0 entry. So here glass is preferred to plastic. So this way your preference is there and you can add the numbers and you can get to know which particular material is most preferred. Let us start with reading the first cell of first column, which is glass plastic cell. It means that consumer prefers glass to plastic. Glass can cell is 0. Glass can cell is 0. There is some ये वाला 0 कह रहे हैं. Here it is 0 means consumer prefers glass to can. Also glass carton cell is 1, so the consumer prefers glass to carton. 100 consumers were asked to fill this table and the result is as in the table. It looks like wherein glass, cardboard, etc. are preferred. Preference of 4 packing material by 100 consumers. So they have just counted, put 1 and 0 in the respective places, added the numbers, and they have found that in 20 cases, glass is preferred to plastic. 75 cases, glass की preference is compared to can. And on totaling, they get these figures. This means that 80 consumers preferred glass to plastic, 25 glass to can, and 60 glass to carton. In other words, 100 consumers preferred the glass 165 times, the plastic 60 times, can 230 times and carton 145 times to other material. So can is the most preferred and plastic is the least preferred packaging material. Then comes rank order scaling. Here, respondents are presented with several objects simultaneously and asked to order or rank them according to some criteria. For example, respondents may be asked to rank brands of cars according to overall preference. There is no paired comparison. मैं आपको 10 cars की list दे दूं and I will ask you to rank them from 1 to 10. आपके माइंड में जितनी भी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स या एट्रीब्यूट हैं कार के, माइलेज है, उनकी इंश्योरेंस है, स्पेस है, कंफर्टेबिलिटी है, whatever characteristics you have in mind, you rank them from 1 to 10, that this is the most preferred car and this is the car that I'll give a least ranking. 10 consumers asked to rank 4 different brands by severity from most important to least important. So brands A, B, C, D are there. Consumer 1 ranks B as the first, A as second, C as third, D as fourth. Consumer 2, it ranks in the other way and so on. Classification of data. Now, how brand A got first position by 2 of the customers, second position by 4 customers, and so on. The data is summarized in tabular form. Given 4 points to be first, 3 points to be second, 2 points to be third, and 1 point to be fourth, we can calculate the weighted average for each brand. It is easy to say that brand B ranks first, A second, C third, and D last. So,
Excuse me,
yes.
ma'am. So there is no pair comparison in
No,
rank 1.
no. I'm not pair
It's a
comparison.
group
I'm just
comparison,
looking.
right?
Yes. It is overall comparison. If I say just a list of objects is given, it may be 100 brands given to you at a time, and I ask you to rank them from 1 to 100. I'm not specifically picking up 2 and then rating them that this is better than this. पेयर में आप एट अ टाइम 2 ऑब्जेक्ट्स को ले रहे हो और उनका कंपेयर कर रहे हो whether this is better than this or the other one is better. But in rank order, I'm just giving ranking to the list of brands or list of objects given to me. There can be as many in number. And further, I may use some mathematical technique devised in my own way, like weighted mean in here, to just know that ultimately which brand is the best if I take a survey from large number of customers. Then comes again, this is constant sum scaling technique, comparative scaling technique. हमने paired comparison कर लिया, second rank order कर लिया, then constant sum scaling. Constant sum, as the name suggests, the sum total is constant, it is fixed. मैं कहूँ आपके पास 100 रुपीज है और आपको वो 100 रुपीज इन 5 लोगों में बांटने हैं. ऐसे ही यहाँ पे सम टोटल 100 दिया है, आपको डिफरेंट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स दे दी. सपोज आपने कार खरीदनी है तो आपने उसके लिए कोई 5 कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स कार की देख लो. उसका इंश्योरेंस अमाउंट, उसका माइलेज, उसकी मतलब लुक, अपीयरेंस, देन कंफर्ट लेवल, then number of seats which are there in the car and so on. अगर आपने ये 5 चीजें देखनी है, एक कार दे दूं मैं आपको, कार से I give car X, car with brand X. Now in that particular case, if I give you 100 points, then for brand X, 100 points में से आप कितने points उसके comfortable में देखोगे, कितने पॉइंट्स आप उनके इंश्योरेंस कवरेज में दोगे, कितने पॉइंट्स उसकी माइलेज में दोगे. देयर माइट बी वन ब्रांड विच इज far better in mileage and it is not looking good to me, and the other brand car is very good in appearance but its mileage is very less. So I am just distributing the total number of points among its various characteristics, and then I may choose that which particular characteristics is more important for me, and accordingly I can choose the brand. So in constant sum scaling, respondents allocate a constant sum of units such as points among a set of similar subjects with respect to some criteria. Below are three attributes of four supermarkets. Please allocate 100 points among the attributes so that your allocation reflects the relative importance you attach to each attribute. The more points an attribute receives, the more important an attribute is. If an attribute is not at all important, assign it no points. If an attribute is twice as important as some other attribute, it should receive twice as many points. Now, supermarket like brand market A, B, C, D है, उनमें आपके चार कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स कंसिडर हो रही हैं. फॉर ईच मार्केट, स्टाफ बिहेवियर, चीपनेस. चीपनेस इज आपको सब अब जो पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट है वो सस्ते मिलते हैं, महंगे मिलते हैं. प्रोडक्ट असॉर्टमेंट, किस तरह से प्रोडक्ट्स वहाँ पे लेड आउट हैं इन दोज मार्केट. So in A market, staff behavior is given 30 points out of total 100. 100 मैंने staff behavior पे को देने हैं. टोटल 100 एलोकेट कर दिए स्टाफ बिहेवियर के लिए. अब सुपरमार्केट ए में 30 मिले, बी 40, मतलब बी का स्टाफ बिहेवियर बहुत अच्छा है, ए का थोड़ा कम अच्छा है, बी मार्केट में उससे भी कम, और सी मार्केट में स्टाफ बिहेवियर इज द वर्स्ट. तो आई हैव गिवन एक करेक्टरिस्टिक स्टाफ बिहेवियर के टोटल 100 में से आपको सबसे ज्यादा पॉइंट बी मार्केट को मिले हैं. तो अगर मैं एक कस्टमर हूँ जो स्टाफ बिहेवियर को बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस देती हूँ, देन आई विल प्रेफर टू गो इन मार्केट बी. Although the overall points of market B is less, it is 90. But if I am focusing on staff behavior, मेरे लिए वो बहुत मैटर करता है कि how the staff is behaving. Then I will prefer market B. Similarly, cheapness. Market A को 40 मिले out of 100, मतलब market A सबसे ज़्यादा cheap है और market B बहुत महंगी है. Although the staff behavior is good, it is not cheap. It has given the least point in cheapness, that is 10. So it is a costly market. So same way, for each of the characteristics, I get to know that which particular market or brand has given how many points, and accordingly, I can, according to my taste and preferences, that which particular characteristics mean to me the most. Accordingly, I can choose a particular thing. It is clear that supermarket A ranks first. यहाँ पे उन्होंने ranking देखी है overall points. If I add all points of market A, it comes out to be 110, B 90, C 35, D 65. So C and D are not good markets. Among A and B, A is having the maximum points. That is why ranking. If I'm ranking, I'll give first rank to A. Q sort and other procedures. Just a brief is required. Q-sort scaling was developed to discriminate among relatively large number of objects quickly. There may be 500 or 1000 objects. These techniques use a rank order procedure in which objects are sorted into piles based on similarity with respect to some criteria. तो किसी criteria के हिसाब से मे बी प्राइस, वो सेम प्राइस वाली आइटम्स को आप एक ग्रुप में कर दो एक फाइल में, तो उसको सॉर्ट कर देते हैं एंड देन रैंक ऑर्डर टेक्निक इज यूज्ड. For example, respondents are given 100 attitude statements on individual cards and asked them to place them into 11 groups, ranging from most highly agreed with to least highly agreed with. तो जितनी भी statements most highly agreed है उन statements को एक ग्रुप में डाल दिया, और जो least highly agreed है उन statements को एक ग्रुप में डाल दिया. The number of objects to be sorted should not be less than 60, not more than 140. A reasonable range is 60 to 90 objects. The number of objects to be placed in each group is pre-specified, often to result in a roughly normal distribution over the whole set. Then comes non-comparative scaling techniques. अभी तक चाहे वो paired comparison था, चाहे rank order, इनके अंदर हमारा कंपैरेटिव स्केलिंग टेक्निक थी. वी आर डूइंग कंपैरिजन, चाहे कांस्टेंट सम में हम कंपेयर करके किसी को ज्यादा पॉइंट्स दे रहे हैं, किसी को कम पॉइंट्स दे रहे हैं. नॉन कंपैरेटिव स्केलिंग टेक्निक्स में देयर इज नो कंपैरिजन. मैं जब एक को रेट कर रही हूँ उसी को रेट कर रही हूँ, साथ वाले को कंपेयर करके नहीं रेट कर रहे. तो Respondents using a non-comparative scale employ whatever rating standard seems appropriate to them. They do not compare the object being rated either with another object or to some specified standard such as your ideal brand. They evaluate only one object at a time. Continuous rating scale. In a continuous rating scale, also referred to as a graphic rating scale, respondents rate the objects by placing a mark at appropriate position on a line that runs from one extreme of the criteria variable to the other. Thus, the respondents are not restricted to selecting from marks previously set by the researcher. The form of continuous scale may vary considerably. Example this. A line is given, probably the worst to probably the best, 0 to 100. अब इसमें कहीं पे भी टिक मार्क प्लेस कर सकते हैं अकॉर्डिंग टू हाउ what is your rating for the particular statement? How would you evaluate our hotel? Second, how do you compare Coca-Cola with Pepsi-Cola? Totally different, totally same. So the tick is towards totally same. So there is not much difference between the two according to the customer. Then Likert scale, it is a widely used rating scale that requires the respondents to indicate a degree of agreement or disagreement with each of series of statements about the stimulus object. Typically, each scale item has 5 response category ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree. तो यहाँ agree भी होता है, preferred भी होता है. So this is a preference scale or a scale for agreement. Generally, it is made for showing agreement or disagreement. It can be 5-point scale, it can be 7-point scale, but Likert scale is mostly a 5-point scale. It is not a kind of question, it is a scale which measures an attitude or behavior. Listed below are different opinions about a particular bank. Please indicate how strongly you agree or disagree with each by putting a tick next to your choice on the scale. This particular bank delivers high quality banking services. They are saying disagree. Poor customer operational support, disagree. Prefer to conduct transactions. I prefer to conduct means I would like I'm neutral about it, neither agree nor disagree. Does not have a good European branch network, agree. Electronic banking security is terrible, agree. So it's the bank is overall, I am agreeing on the negative aspect and I am disagreeing on the positive aspect. So this has an overall negative feedback. Semantic differential scale. It is a 7-point rating scale. Likert scale is a 5-point scale. Semantic differential is a 7-point scale with endpoints associated with bipolar labels that have semantic meaning. Semantic means opposite meaning. In a typical application, respondents rate objects on a number of itemized 7-point rating scales, bounded at each end by one of two bipolar objectives such as cold and warm. So, what does this particular bank mean to you? The following descriptive scales bounded at each end by bipolar adjectives summarizes characteristics of banks. These marks cross at the blank that best indicates what the particular bank means to you. So bank is यहाँ पे आप देखो जो इनके हर स्टेटमेंट में there are 7 points and there are bipolar objectives. आपको opposite words है एंड में powerful weak, unreliable reliable, modern old fashioned, high tech low tech, careful careless. So according to your whatever you feel about the bank, you put your cross or tick on that particular position. Then comes staple scale. The staple scale, named after its developer Jan Staple, is a unipolar rating scale with 10 categories numbered from -5 to +5. without a neutral point. So it actually has 10 points. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and +1, +2, +3, +4, +5. This scale has usually presented vertically. Respondents are asked to indicate by selecting an appropriate numerical response category how accurately or inaccurately each term describes the object. The higher the number, the more accurately the term describes the object. Please evaluate how accurately each word or phrase describes the Dresner bank. Select a positive number for the phrases you think the bank accurately. The more accurately you think the phrase describes the bank, the larger the plus number you should choose. You should select a minus number for the phrases you think they do not describe the bank accurately. The less accurately you think the phrase describes the bank, the larger the negative number you should choose. You can select any number from +5 to -5. So, based on quality, it is given -4, and based on poor service, it is given +2. Turkish people are generous. Now, these are just a mix of how you can put questions in your case. अगर आप Likert scale use कर रहे हो, the first question, Turkish people are generous. This is a statement, and you have to give your level of agreement. 1 is strongly disagree to 5 strongly agree. Whatever you feel like about Turkish people, you can tick accordingly. Then there can be some graphics uh, just to make your questionnaire interesting. So I'm proud of my country. Now, how I feel, how I'm happy with this statement is correct for me, or I'm indifferent to this statement, or I'm sad about hearing this statement. This will show a customer's level. So a different faces are being shown to you, and they will tell you your preference level. Now, reliability and validity. Now, whenever there are different scales, then I would definitely like the scale which is more reliable as well as valid for my study. Reliability, what does it mean? It refers to the extent to which a scale produces consistent results if repeated measurements are made. अगर मान लो मैं एक चीज को सपोज मैं क्वेश्चनियर से फिल करा रही हूँ, अगर कस्टमर्स ने बिना क्वेश्चंस को पढ़े आंसर किसी में ए टिक कर दिया, किसी में बी टिक कर दिया, जैसे कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम में कुछ बच्चे जो पढ़ के नहीं जाते वो रैंडमली ABCD पे पिक कर देते हैं. तो अगर एक ग्रुप होगा जिसने प्रॉपरली पढ़ के ही क्वेश्चंस को टिक किया होगा, अगर उस पेपर को मैं दोबारा भी दे दूं उन बच्चों को, तो वो वही ऑप्शन से टिक करेंगे बिकॉज दे हैव केयरफुली एग्जामिन्ड एंड इवेल्युएटेड एंड टिक द करेक्ट आंसर. और अगर कुछ रैंडमली बस टिक कर रहे हैं जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ इट विदाउट इवन सीइंग व्हाट द क्वेश्चन इज आस्किंग, तो उनको मैं पहली बार क्वेश्चनियर दूंगी, कुछ और ऑप्शन टिक होंगे, दूसरी बार क्वेश्चनियर दूंगी, कुछ और ऑप्शन टिक होंगे. So they are not reliable. So if your results are consistent when repeated measurements are made, then it is a reliable. But there are some sources of error. Main sources are, one is systematic source of error and the other is random error. जो रैंडम एरर होते हैं वो रिलायबिलिटी को खराब करते हैं. जो सिस्टमैटिक सोर्सेज ऑफ एरर होते हैं ये रिलायबिलिटी को इतना अफेक्ट नहीं करते because they affect the measurement in a constant way and do not lead to inconsistency. Random error produces inconsistency leading to lower reliability. Reliability can be defined as the extent to which measures are free from random errors. If random errors are zero, the measure is perfectly reliable. Now, next topic comes research design. Market research process, as we discussed, it consists of the step 1 as defining the problem, developing an approach, formulating research design. Now, formulating research design. This is an important step of marketing research. And what does research design mean? It is basically a blueprint of how you will carry on your research, your planned research. Then after you Fix your research design. Then comes your field work or collecting data, preparing, analyzing data, and presenting the report. So research design is comes after properly defining the research. It is formulated after the problem has been defined and the approach has been developed. It is a framework or blueprint, a plan, detailed plan for conducting the marketing research project. Again, a detailed question can come that what is a research design and explain different types of research designs in detail. They may ask you specific research designs to be explained in detail. It details the procedures necessary for obtaining the information needed to structure or solve marketing research problems. Design the exploratory. These are components of research design. Components of a research design. Design the exploratory, descriptive, or causal phases of research. Specify measurement and scaling procedures. Construct and pretest a questionnaire or an appropriate form of data collection. Specify sampling process and sample size. Develop a plan of data analysis. आप डेटा तो कलेक्ट कर लो लेकिन उसके एनालिसिस का भी प्लान होना चाहिए. Just collecting the data which cannot be analyzed appropriately is meaningless to me. A classification of marketing research designs. Broadly, research design is classified into exploratory and conclusive. Exploratory is whenever some new venture has to be done, it is not existing before. You are exploring. You have to gain insights in exploratory research. So here mostly primary data collection method is used. Whereas conclusive research design is there might be some research being done by other agencies. So I might use primary data source or I may use the secondary data which is already available with other agencies where which the research is being carried out by other organization in parallel field. So in conclusive, it is further divided into descriptive and causal. Causal, as the name suggests, we need to determine the cause and effect relationship between the variables. Descriptive means you have to describe. In describing, it can be cross-sectional design. Cross-sectional is you are obtaining the information at one point of time. And in longitudinal design, from the same set of respondents, you are collecting information after, मतलब over a span of time. मैं एक particular drug के लिए research कर रही हूँ. Say it is a drug which I claim that it lowers the blood pressure. Now I'll take 10 patients and I will examine their blood pressure level after the drug consumption after 1 week, after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So this is a longitudinal research design where the same respondents they are being measured. The data is collected from them, from the same respondents after regular intervals of time and a span of time is considered. That is longitudinal design. Then in cross-sectional, it is single cross-sectional design means you are taking a set of information from a particular respondent only once. In multiple cross-sectional design, you are taking information at different time points in future also, but not from the same set of respondents. Longitudinal में आपके sample same रहता है. Multiple cross-sectional में sample different हो जाता है. Now, the differences between exploratory and conclusive based on the objective and characteristics. Now, in exploratory, the main objective is to provide insights and understanding. In conclusive, to test specific hypotheses and examine relationships. Characteristics of exploratory research. This is an important question. Differentiate between exploratory and conclusive research. तो research design में से आपका एक complete question भी आ सकता है. आपके कोई specific research designs के comparison भी आ सकते हैं. So one or the other question is asked either from the complete research design topic or a subpart of it. Characteristics information needed is defined only loosely. Research process is flexible and unstructured. जिस चीज के बारे में कुछ एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करता और एक्सप्लोर करना है वो कभी भी स्ट्रक्चर्ड नहीं होगी. Sample is small and non-representative. Analysis of primary data is qualitative. Inconclusive information needed is clearly defined. I have to conclude about these objectives. So, information needed. The objectives are clearly defined. Research process is formal and structured. Sample is large and representative. Data analysis is quantitative. Findings or results exploratory में tentative होते हैं. You are unsure, uncertain. Conclusive में findings are conclusive. You conclude and you come to the end result. Outcome generally followed by further exploratory or conclusive research. Conclusive findings used as input into decision making. Then, if I compare exploratory, descriptive and causal, क्योंकि last slide में descriptive causal को एक ही में combine कर दिया था conclusive. Now further, if the differences are among these three, then objective. Exploratory discover of ideas and insights. Descriptive describe market characteristics or functions. Causal determine cause and effect relationship. Characteristics exploratory is flexible, versatile, often the front end of total research design. Descriptive marked by prior formulation of specific hypothesis, pre-plan and structured design. Causal manipulation of independent variables, measure the effect on dependent variables, control mediating variables. Methods of exploratory research, expert survey, pilot surveys, case studies, secondary data, qualitative analysis, qualitative research. In descriptive, secondary data, quantitative analysis, survey, panels, observations, and other data. Descriptive might have primary data as well. Causal experiments. Use of exploratory research, formulate a problem or define a problem more precisely, identify alternative causes of action, courses of action, develop hypotheses, isolate key variables and relationships for further examination, gain insights for developing an approach to problem, establish priorities for further research. Uses of descriptive research to describe the characteristics of relevant groups, such as consumers, salespeople, organization, or market areas. Estimate percentage of units in a specified population exhibiting a certain behavior. Determine perceptions of product characteristics. To determine the degree to which marketing variables are associated. To make specific predictions. Now, in descriptive research design, cross-sectional designs, where I am having one sample, and I am recording the measurements once. Involve the collection of information from any given sample of population elements only once. In single cross-sectional designs, there is only one sample of respondents drawn of the target population, and information is obtained from this sample only once. In multiple cross-sectional designs, there are two or more samples of respondents, and information from each sample is obtained only once. So, एक sample से एक ही बारी ली जाएगी. Information from different sample is obtained at different times in multiple cross-sectional. A type of special interest analysis of design is cohort analysis. It consists of series of surveys conducted at appropriate time intervals, where the cohort serves as basic unit of analysis. Now, cohort का मतलब क्या है? Cohort का मतलब है जैसे हम सर्वे कर रहे हैं तो हमने क्लासेस बना ली. C1, C2 ये cohorts हैं. C1 are people who are cohort born prior to 1900. C2 cohort born 1901. So these are different generations being taken as different cohorts. Design, longitudinal designs में a fixed sample of population elements is measured repeatedly. 1 minute. This is longitudinal design. A fixed sample or samples of population elements is measured repeatedly on the same variable. Same people are studied over time and same variables are measured. As I gave you the example that a drug is administered to some patient and the effect of that drug, which is claimed to be lowering the blood pressure is monitored. Now, the same set of patients are administered with the drug at different intervals of time. So, it is a longitudinal design. It differs from cross-sectional design in that the sample or sample participants remain the same over time. Longitudinal design study provides changes that take place over time. Multiple cross-sectional versus longitudinal. Multiple cross-sectional में आप देखो survey, sample surveyed at T1, different sample surveyed at time T2. So sample doesn't remain same. From one sample, you are making the observation only once. If over the timeline you are again making observation, then you are doing it for a different sample. Whereas in longitudinal, the sample same will remain same over the timeline. Then the comparison between the cross-sectional design and longitudinal design, the evaluation criteria. Cross-sectional design क्योंकि different samples से हो रहा है, it cannot detect the change. Longitudinal design, since it is done, the observations are done on the same sample over the time span. Therefore, it is useful for detecting a change. Large amount of data collection can't be done in cross sectional क्योंकि आप एक ही सैंपल को एक ही बार ही मेजर कर रहे हो. Longitudinal में yes. Accuracy in longitudinal, it is more accurate because the same samples are giving you observation time and again. Representative sampling, yes, cross sectional design are representative sampling, and response bias can occur in cross sectional design. Response bias cannot occur in longitudinal because आप एक बार ही नहीं टेस्ट कर रहे हो, उन्हें बार बार टेस्ट कर रहे हो ओवर टाइम पीरियड, तो कभी भी इनकंसिस्टेंट रिजल्ट्स नहीं आएंगे. Plus indicates a relative advantage over the other design, where minus indicates a relative disadvantage. Cross-sectional data may not show change. टाइम पीरियड 1 में आपने सर्वे किया, कोई और कस्टमर थे, टाइम पीरियड 2 के सर्वे में कुछ और कस्टमर्स थे, आपको चेंज नहीं पता लगेगा. अगर सेम सेट ऑफ कस्टमर्स से देखते हैं उनका परचेज बिहेवियर, तो आपको पता लगता है कि वो कस्टमर अपनी परचेजेस इंक्रीज कर रहा है या डिक्रीज कर रहा है. बट लोग ही अलग हो गए तो यू कैन नॉट मेजर एनी चेंज. Then uses of causal research to understand which variables are cause and which are effect. To determine the nature of relationship between cause variables and effect variables to be predicted. Example मैं कहती हूँ डिमांड और प्राइस में रिलेशन है. अब कितना प्राइस चेंज होने से कितना डिमांड में असर आ सकता है फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट, उसके लिए मुझे एक रिलेशनशिप बनाना है. क्या प्राइस 10% घटने से 50% डिमांड इंक्रीज हो जाएगी या 30% इंक्रीज हो जाएगी? व्हाट इज द रिलेशनशिप? दैट इज योर कॉज एंड इफेक्ट रिलेशनशिप. Then there are other alternative research designs. Exploratory research, ये अभी तक हमने किए हैं, एक्सप्लोरेटरी हैं या कंक्लूसिव हैं. डिस्क्रिप्टिव हैं. डिस्क्रिप्टिव में कंक्लूसिव में या डिस्क्रिप्टिव हैं या कॉजल हैं. सो ब्रॉडली देयर आर एक्सप्लोरेटरी रिसर्च डिजाइन, डिस्क्रिप्टिव रिसर्च डिजाइन एंड कॉजल. But in some cases, they may work in combination, like part A. First, exploratory research, then come to conclusive research. Second, only conclusive research. Third, पहले conclusive research किया, but conclusive research करते करते कुछ questions mind में ऐसे आए जिसके लिए मुझे exploratory research carry out करना है. So the researches can be in combination. Then total error, as we have already discussed, total error is of random sampling error and non-sampling error. हमने किया था reliability के टाइम की जो random error होती हैं, they can affect the reliability. Systematic sources of error, they do not affect reliability. Here, these are different types of errors. Errors occur when we are taking a response. आप response ले रहे हो, तो वो response क्या genuinely question पढ़ के ठीक response दे रहे हैं, या सिर्फ just for the sake of filling the questionnaire they are giving the responses. Therefore, there might exist certain errors. आपने देखा होगा क्वेश्चनियर आपके पास भी आता है, आप कुछ क्वेश्चंस को बीच में छोड़ देते हो, वो भी एक एरर ही है. जो ब्लैंक्स हैं, फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स आपने नहीं फिल किए, वो भी एरर है, बिकॉज दे आर नो रिस्पॉन्स एरर. So different errors are being discussed. One is random sampling error. Third is non-sampling error. जो सैंपल की वजह से एरर्स होती हैं वो रैंडम सैम्पलिंग एरर में है कि आपने सैंपल ही ठीक चूज नहीं किया। नॉन सैम्पलिंग एरर में है कि आपने सैंपल तो ठीक किया, सैम्पलिंग चूज करने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं थी, आपने सैम्पलिंग टेक्निक भी ठीक लगाई। उसके बाद रिस्पॉन्स एरर, रिस्पॉन्स देने वाले ने ठीक से रिस्पॉन्स नहीं दिया, और रिस्पॉन्स नहीं दिया उसमें इंटरव्यूअर एरर भी हो सकता है। इंटरव्यूअर एरर क्या है कि इंटरव्यू ने क्वेश्चन ठीक से नहीं रखा, बहुत वेग अनक्लियर नहीं था, जिस वजह से रिस्पॉन्स एरर आया है। रिसर्चर एरर, रिसर्च ने जो क्वेश्चन पुट किया है इनिशियली, जो इंटरव्यूज को लिस्ट ऑफ क्वेश्चन दिया, उसमें वो क्वेश्चन जो डिजायर होना चाहिए था वो नहीं इंक्लूड किया। So there are different sources from which error may arise. In non-response error, respondent error. Inability to answer, this is respondent error. Unwillingness to answer, I am not willing to give you the answer to a particular question, that is respondent error. So researcher error में surrogate information error, measurement error, population definition error, sampling frame error, data analysis error. इंटरव्यूअर में रिस्पोंडेंट सिलेक्शन एरर, आपने रिस्पोंडेंट ही ठीक चूज नहीं किया इंटरव्यू देने के लिए। क्वेश्चनिंग एरर, क्वेश्चन ठीक से पुट नहीं किया। रिकॉर्डिंग एरर, क्वेश्चंस the answers they are giving are not recorded properly, cheating error, and so on. Marketing research proposal. So a research proposal, it consists of several components: executive summary, background, problem definition, objectives of research, approach to problem, research design, fieldwork, data collection, data analysis, reporting, cost and time. So basically, when you start with your objectives and see the complete marketing research process. So based on your objectives under consideration, when you list down those complete marketing research process, align them with your objectives and write on a sheet of paper what design you are following, what is your approach to problem, what methods of data analysis will you use, what will be your cost and time schedules. So that gives you the complete proposal. Concept map for research design. This is what we have already discussed, that research designs can be exploratory, descriptive, or causal. And in exploratory, I may use expert experience, pilot survey, case study, secondary data, qualitative research. In descriptive, cross-sectional or longitudinal. And for describing the data, may use observation, panel, survey on secondary data. For causal, I use method of experiment. This is just a graphical display of all the techniques we have used in
Ma'am?
research design. Yes,
मैम 4 बजे तक आप ही पढ़ाएंगी?
हाँ जी।
तो ओके मैम, ठीक है।
कोई डाउट है बताइए।
नहीं मैम, अगर होगा तो मैं आपसे पूछ लूंगा मैम ऐसे।
अच्छा, अभी कुछ पूछना है?
नहीं मैम, बस यही पूछना था।
मैम आपने जो रिसर्चर एरर बताया था ना ऊपर,
हाँ जी।
तो मैम ये एक बार एक्सप्लेन कर दो दोबारा।
जो रिसर्च कर रहा है उसकी क्या एरर है?
मैम स्लाइड थोड़ा बड़ा कर लीजिए एक बार।
करती हूँ। देखो, ये आपकी जनरल इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए है कि एरर्स, रिसर्च करते वक्त भी एरर्स एग्जिस्ट करते हैं। एक होते हैं सैम्पलिंग एरर्स, कि आपने सैंपल ही ठीक कलेक्ट नहीं किया, जो सैंपल डिजायर्ड था वही कलेक्ट नहीं हुआ, आपकी टारगेट पॉपुलेशन जो थी आपने हट के इंफॉर्मेशन किसी और से लेनी चाहिए थी और ले किसी और से रहे हो, ये आपकी सैम्पलिंग एरर है। आपने सैंपल चूज करने में, सैम्पलिंग फ्रेम चूज करने में जो रैंडम सैंपल लिया है और सैंपल के अंदर ही सैंपल इज नॉट अप्रोप्रिएट। नॉन सैम्पलिंग एरर के अंदर आता है रिस्पॉन्स एरर, नॉन रिस्पॉन्स एरर। नॉन रिस्पॉन्स एरर का मतलब तो साफ है कि उसने रिस्पॉन्स ही नहीं किया, आपके क्वेश्चन जो पूछा आपने उसको रिस्पॉन्स नहीं किया, वो ही एक एरर है। क्योंकि आप जब आप डेटा एनालिसिस करोगे, क्वेश्चन में जो अनफिल्ड पोर्शन होगा, वो अनफिल्ड पोर्शन को आप बैंक को कैसे फिल करोगे? अपनी मर्जी से फिल करोगे तो भी वो एरर ही है, बिकॉज इट विल नॉट गिव यू द एक्यूरेट रिजल्ट। आपको जो एक सैंपल यूनिट से रिस्पोंडेंट से आंसर मिलना चाहिए था, उसने कुछ नहीं भरा, खाली छोड़ दिया। अब खाली जगह को आप कैसे भरोगे? यू विल जस्ट यूज द एवरेज टेक्निक्स और अप्रोक्सीमेशन टेक्निक, या डेटा क्लीनिंग में वो फील्ड ही हटा दोगे। दैट इज नॉन रिस्पॉन्स एरर। आप भी कई बार करते हो, चाहे वो कोई एग्जाम है। आपने अगर मान लो वो नेगेटिव एग्जाम्स हैं, सॉरी नेगेटिव मार्किंग वाला एग्जाम है, आप कई बार एमसीक्यूज को अटेम्प्ट नहीं करते, तो अगर आपने अटेम्प्ट ही नहीं किया, वो नो रिस्पॉन्स एरर है, आपने रिस्पॉन्स ही नहीं दिया। अगर आपने रिस्पॉन्स दिया है तो भी एरर हो सकती है। वो एरर हो सकती है इंटरव्यूअर एरर, इंटरव्यू जो क्वेश्चन पुट कर रहा है वो ठीक से नहीं पुट किया। रिस्पोंडेंट एरर, अगर रिस्पोंडेंट ने आंसर ही नहीं किया, अनविलिंगनेस आंसर की, आपने कोई क्वेश्चन पूछा, आई एम नॉट विलिंग टू रिप्लाई टू दैट, या मुझे वो आता नहीं है, आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिप्लाई, दैट इज रिस्पोंडेंट एरर। एक तरह से आपको आंसर उसका नहीं मिला। इंटरव्यूअर एरर, क्वेश्चन में, रिकॉर्डिंग में, क्वेश्चन करने में, और या आपने जो रिस्पोंडेंट चूज की है फॉर आंसरिंग द क्वेश्चन, ही इज नॉट करेक्ट। रिसर्चर एरर, जो रिसर्च कर रहा है, जब आपने प्लान आउट किया है रिसर्च, तब उसने सैंपल फ्रेम को चुनने में एरर कर लिया, या बाद में जब डेटा एनालिसिस किया उसमें एरर हुआ है, या जब आप किसी चीज को रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हो, जैसे मैंने कहा कि बीपी को रिकॉर्ड करना है अलोंग द टाइम लाइन लॉन्जिट्यूडिनल डिजाइन में, तो रिकॉर्डिंग ही अगर ठीक से नहीं की, आपके इंस्ट्रूमेंट में ही गड़बड़ थी, तो उससे आपको ड्रग का इफेक्ट ठीक से नहीं पता लगेगा। तो वेरियस सोर्सेज ऑफ एरर आर प्रेजेंट, एंड देखो एरर को कभी भी आप जीरो नहीं कर पाते हो, क्योंकि कुछ एरर्स होती हैं जो बियॉन्ड आवर कंट्रोल होती हैं, लाइक इंस्ट्रूमेंट एरर्स, और कुछ एरर्स होती हैं जो अपने कंट्रोल में होती हैं, कि आपने सैंपल को ढंग से सेलेक्ट करना है। लेकिन फिर भी एक दो यूनिट सैंपल में ऐसे आ जाते हैं जिनको उस फील्ड की नॉलेज ही नहीं है जिसके लिए आप स्टडी कर रहे हो, तो एरर को मिनिमाइज कर सकते हैं, जीरो नहीं हो पाती रियल लाइफ में। So this is just for your information. Fine?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Sampling techniques and sample size determination. Now, ये आपने टॉपिक डेटा एनालिसिस डिसीजन टूल्स में भी किया था, उसको रिपीट ही कर रहे हैं। देयर आर डिफरेंट सैम्पलिंग टेक्निक्स। आपकी प्रोबेबिलिटी सैम्पलिंग टेक्निक्स हैं, नॉन प्रोबेबिलिटी सैम्पलिंग टेक्निक्स हैं। Again, a question can be asked to explain different type of probability sampling techniques or different types of non-probability sampling techniques. Or question says, discuss in detail all the probability sampling techniques. 12 नंबर का क्वेश्चन दे दिया।
वाला है।
देखो, जब आप सैम्पलिंग टेक्निक की बात कर रहे हो, टेक्निक में न्यूमेरिकल नहीं आता, क्योंकि प्रोबेबिलिटी सैम्पलिंग टेक्निक में सिंपल रैंडम सैम्पलिंग है। अब सिंपल रैंडम सैम्पलिंग क्या होती है? वो न्यूमेरिकल नहीं है। लेकिन जो सैंपल साइज डिटर्मिनेशन है वो न्यूमेरिकल आ सकता है, कि आपके पास कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल दिया हुआ है और वो कहते हैं ये इतना एरर एक्सेप्टेबल है, तो आपका सैंपल साइज कितना होना चाहिए। जब भी आप सर्वे करते हो, रिसर्च करते हो, तो उससे पहले यू नीड टू नो कि आप कितने लोगों से क्वेश्चनियर भरवाओगे। 50 लोगों से, 500 लोगों से, तो आपके लिए सैंपल साइज कितना होना चाहिए, कितना छोटा सैंपल साइज होगा। मान लो मैं एक स्टडी कर रही हूँ, मैंने क्वेश्चनियर बनाया, सब कुछ किया, लेकिन मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है, मैंने 5 लोगों से भरवा दिया। 5 लोग तो इतने कम है, मैं 5 लोगों के बेसिस से पूरी पॉपुलेशन का और अपनी इंडस्ट्री का डिसीजन नहीं ले सकती। तो अगर मैं, जितने कम लोग होंगे उतने एरर होने के चांस ज्यादा होते हैं, और जितने ज्यादा सैंपल साइज होगा वो एक तरह से पॉपुलेशन को अप्रोच करेगा, उसमें एरर होने के चांस कम होते हैं। तो हर कंपनी पहले ये कहती है कि मैं तो कितना एरर एक्सेप्टेबल है, मैं कितना एरर अलाउ कर सकता हूँ अपनी स्टडी में, उसके हिसाब से सैंपल साइज चूज किया जाता है। तो सैंपल साइज डिटर्मिनेशन में न्यूमेरिकल है, सैम्पलिंग टेक्निक में कोई न्यूमेरिकल नहीं है। वो जैसे आपने पहले रिसर्च डिजाइन में देयर आर डिफरेंट कैटेगरी ऑफ रिसर्च डिजाइन विद एग्जांपल्स, ऐसे ही देयर आर डिफरेंट सैम्पलिंग टेक्निक्स विद एग्जांपल। इज इट फाइन?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक। तो ऑब्जेक्टिव, लर्न द रीजन फॉर सैम्पलिंग, सैंपल की जरूरत ही क्यों है, सैंपल क्या है? सैंपल इज जस्ट अ स्मॉल सबसेट ऑफ पॉपुलेशन, क्योंकि मैं पूरी पॉपुलेशन को एक साथ नहीं वो कर सकती हूँ, स्टडी कर सकती हूँ। पूरी पॉपुलेशन बहुत बड़ी है, वो बहुत टाइम लेगी और मेरा बहुत सारे एम्प्लॉय मुझे रखने पड़ेंगे उसको स्टडी करने के लिए, और मुझे रिसर्च का आउटपुट एक स्टिपुलेटेड टाइम में चाहिए होता है। So I just take out a sample to know about the population. Develop an understanding about different sampling methods. Broadly हमारे पास probability sampling techniques है, non-probability sampling techniques हैं, और फिर इनकी सब categories हैं. To distinguish between probability and non-probability sampling techniques, discuss relative disadvantages and advantages of each sampling method. List the factors influencing sample size, and फिर sample size का determination, that how you determine a sample size. A sample is a smaller but hopefully representative collection of units from population used to determine truth about the population. मुझे population के information निकालने के लिए मैं उसका sample use करती हूँ, तो it is a small hopefully representative, क्योंकि अगर आपने sample ठीक से choose नहीं किया तो वो represent नहीं करेगा population को. Example I take that if you want to know the income level of India, और आप सपोज इंडिया में सिर्फ दिल्ली में साउथ दिल्ली को कंसिडर कर लो, या बहुत जो पॉश एरिया है वहाँ कंसिडर करके वहाँ से सैंपल ले लो 5 लोगों का, वो इंडिया की पॉपुलेशन की इनकम को ठीक से नहीं बताएगा, क्योंकि उस एरिया में सारे बिजनेसमैन रहते हैं, दे हैव इनकम इन क्रोर्स. नाउ दैट इज नॉट द एवरेज इनकम लेवल इन इंडिया. व्हाट शुड बी योर एप्रोप्रिएट सैंपल? आपके अगर इंडिया में 70% रूरल पॉपुलेशन है, योर सैंपल शुड हैव 70% रूरल people living in rural areas. 100 के सैंपल में 70 लोग रूरल एरिया से होने चाहिए, क्योंकि इंडिया की 70% पॉपुलेशन इज इन रूरल एरिया. 30% अर्बन के होने चाहिए, और अर्बन में भी सेमी अर्बन भी हैं, और फिर अर्बन के अंदर आपकी डिफरेंट एरियाज में डिफरेंट जोग्राफिकल लोकेशंस में डिफरेंट इनकम लेवल्स एग्जिस्ट. तो जिस हिसाब से पॉपुलेशन में डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड है लोग, उसी हिसाब से सैंपल में होने चाहिए. दैट विल बी अ परफेक्टली रिप्रेजेंटेटिव सैंपल एंड गिव यू द ट्रू पिक्चर अबाउट द पॉपुलेशन. नाउ व्हाई सैंपल? Cost in terms of money, time and manpower. Because to study population it is very costly and time consuming, and accessibility. I cannot assess the entire population. आप इतना travel करोगे, सब कुछ करोगे, a lot of cost will be involved. Utility. Example, to do diagnostic laboratory test, you don't draw the whole of patient's blood. आप blood sample ही लेते हो ना, या उसका पूरा ही blood निकाल लेते हो. तो the thing is that if you can get information from a small bit of it, why to take out the entire, why to study the entire thing? A census is a sample consisting of entire population. Even though a census is not foolproof, it gives detailed information about every small area of population. It has following disadvantages. It is expensive, it takes a long time, it is cumbersome and therefore inaccurately done. A careful sample produces a more accurate data than a census. सेंसस का तो जब तक डेटा आपके पास आता है ना, तब तक 1-2 साल लग जाते हैं, और तब तक सेंसस की ओरिजिनल इंफॉर्मेशन भी चेंज हो जाती है. देन कम सैम्पलिंग. सैम्पलिंग इज द प्रोसेस ऑफ सेलेक्टिंग अ रिप्रेजेंटेटिव सैंपल फ्रॉम पॉपुलेशन. In selecting faces, elements or locating people from a target population in order to study the population. The population में देखो बहुत सारे faces हैं इधर left side. You are drawing sample from 2-3 faces, and through sample you are making inferences about the population. The process of obtaining information from a subset sample of a larger group. The results for the sample are then used to make estimates of the larger group. Larger group is the population.
मैम
Yes.
मैम एग्जाम में न्यूमेरिकल कितने मार्क्स का आएगा?
पहले से कुछ भी डिसाइडेड नहीं होता. It depends on the examiner who is asking the question.
मतलब ऐसे मतलब कुछ पता नहीं होता कि कितने मार्क्स का
ऐसा कुछ
न्यूमेरिकल
नहीं
है
पता होता. नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं पता होता. अब हाइपोथेसिस टेस्टिंग है, आपके सैंपल साइज डिटर्मिनेशन है, कितने मार्क्स से आएंगे. हाइपोथेसिस टेस्टिंग का पूरे 12.5 नंबर का भी क्वेश्चन आ सकता है. एक बारी 20 नंबर की जो कंपलसरी 20 नंबर की केस स्टडी हुई थी, उसमें एक बारी हाइपोथेसिस टेस्टिंग पूछा गया था. So
हम्म,
you can never know ki which portion is asked how much,
बैगी से ले लो।
but yes, there is a lot of noise among yourself. There is no strict bifurcation of how much practical and how much theory. And if you have clear understanding of the subject, you can do numerical very easily.
ओके
But
मैम,
I will also try. Please, in any of the subjects, never ever there is a strict bifurcation that this much percentage will be theory and this is practical. किसी भी
ठीक है
subject में नहीं होता. It depends only on the examiner. ठीक है?
ओके मैम, आई वाज जस्ट आस्किंग फॉर माय इंफॉर्मेशन मैम, थैंक यू।
हाँ, हाँ. Generally, you have two types of question patterns which come in your exam. Wherever you have marketing, HR, or papers which are general papers, वहाँ पे आपका एक case study होता है 20 marks compulsory, and remaining out of 6 questions you have to attempt any 4, 12.5 marks each. Total external paper marks is 70. Internal assessment 30 है, वो तो आपका ऑनलाइन होगा. और इंटरनल असेसमेंट कोई भी मिस मत करना, क्योंकि एक्सटर्नल एग्जाम फिर भी आप कभी किसी वजह से एब्सेंट हो जाते हो, बाद में रिपीट हो जाता है नेक्स्ट ईयर. बट इंटरनल एग्जाम ऑनलाइन जो आप देते हो वो आपके यूजुअल टर्म में ही होगा, वो बाद में कभी रिपीट नहीं होगा. तो जो बच्चे इंटरनल एग्जाम में एब्सेंट हो जाएं किसी भी, उनके 30 में से 0 लग जाते हैं फॉर एवर इन दैट सब्जेक्ट इन फ्यूचर. वो कभी भी दोबारा नहीं हो सकता, फिर उसे 70 में से ही पास होना पड़ता है. तो आई वुड टेल यू दैट प्लीज, रिक्वेस्ट है ये कि कोई भी इंटरनल असेसमेंट मिस ना करें. उसकी कोई स्ट्रिक्ट नहीं होता कि आज इसका पेपर है तो
तो मैम
इतने ही आवर में देना है. उसका एक आपको पीरियड दिया जाता है, उस पीरियड में आप कभी भी दे सकते हो, बट जरूर दे देना. एंड डोंट
मैम
वेट फॉर द लास्ट मोमेंट, क्योंकि लास्ट मोमेंट पे कई बार सर्वर पे इतना रश होता है और वो हैंग होता है या बच्चों का सबमिट नहीं हो पाता. फिर स्टूडेंट्स कम कंप्लेनिंग, बट दोज कंप्लेंट्स आर नॉट एंटरटेन. सो फॉर एनी, कभी आपको फॉर्म भी भरना हो, ऑनलाइन पोर्टल को एक्सेस करना हो, लास्ट मोमेंट का वेट मत किया कीजिए. स्टार्टिंग में
मैम
ही, as soon as you get opportunity, you do the work and submit it.
मैम कह रहे हैं, मैम कुछ स्टूडेंट्स कह रहे थे कि मार्केटिंग के
Continuing
इंटरनल
ahead,
में मार्क्स कम मिल
the
रहे हैं.
process of obtaining information from subsets or sample of a larger group. The results of sample are then used to make estimates of a larger group faster and cheaper than asking the entire population. Now, it is very important that you select the right people. Right means the right sample that is representing the population, and selecting the right number. Matlab sample size. What is the appropriate sample size you should select? That should, बहुत ज़्यादा sample size होगा तो अगेन कॉस्ट बहुत ज़्यादा पड़ेगी, एक्सपेंसिव होगा, टाइम कंज्यूमिंग होगा. और बहुत कम सैम्पल साइज होगा तो भी आपकी एरर होने के चांसेस ज़्यादा हैं. तो डिपेंडिंग अपॉन एक्सेप्टेबल एरर, I have to determine the appropriate sample size. Population versus sample. Population is a larger group, sample is a small representative. पॉपुलेशन में जो वेरिएबल्स होते हैं उनको हम पैरामीटर कहते हैं. जैसे पॉपुलेशन मीन, जिसको म्यू से डिनोट करते हैं, दैट इज पैरामीटर. सैंपल के लिए जो सैंपल ऑब्जर्वेशन से मेजर बनता है उसे हम सैंपल स्टैटिस्टिक बोलते हैं. सैंपल मीन इज द स्टैटिस्टिक, पॉपुलेशन मीन इज अ पैरामीटर. So parameter word is used for population and statistic word is used for sample. अब दोनों वर्ड में कंफ्यूज मत होना. स्टैटिस्टिक्स अलग है और स्टैटिस्टिक्स अलग है. स्टैटिस्टिक्स में हम डेटा, इंफॉर्मेशन गैदरिंग, एनालाइजिंग, वो सारा स्टैटिस्टिक्स का पार्ट होता है. स्टैटिस्टिक्स इज a particular measure which is function of only sample observations. That is statistics. So representation. Sample surveys are almost never conducted for purpose of describing a particular sample under study. Rather, they are conducted for purpose of understanding the larger population from which sample was initially selected. A great deal of work has been done over years in developing sampling methods that provide representative samples for general population. Characteristics of good samples. 3 factors that influence sample representativeness. सैंपल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव होना चाहिए. सैम्पलिंग प्रोसीजर, आपका सैंपल को सेलेक्ट करने का प्रोसीजर डिटरमाइन करेगा कि सैंपल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है या नहीं है. सेकंड, सैंपल साइज. सैंपल साइज शुड बी अप्रोप्रिएट, नाइदर टू लेस नॉर टू मच. पार्टिसिपेशन रिस्पॉन्स, जो सैंपल लिया है वो आपको आंसर कर भी रहे हैं क्वेश्चंस या नहीं कर रहे, तो आपका रिस्पॉन्स एरर नहीं आना चाहिए. तो सैंपल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव तभी होगा ना जब आपको उन सैंपल से जो आपने इंफॉर्मेशन ली है वो कुछ रिकॉर्ड करने के लिए आपको इंफॉर्मेशन दे भी, आपको आंसर भी करें, तो उनका रिस्पॉन्स आना भी जरूरी है. देन व्हेन माइट यू सैंपल द एंटायर पॉपुलेशन, किन सिनेरियो में आपको पूरी पॉपुलेशन को ही करना है. व्हेन योर पॉपुलेशन इज वेरी स्मॉल. एग्जाम्पल, सपोज देयर इज अ रेयर डिजीज जो कि इंडिया में इट इज अफेक्टिंग ओनली 200 पीपल. तो उस केस में उस डिजीज के पॉपुलेशन ही पूरी इतनी कम है, तो आप उस केस में पूरा पॉपुलेशन को ही सर्वे करोगे. व्हेन यू हैव एक्सटेंसिव रिसोर्सेज, जब आपके पास बहुत रिसोर्सेज है, ना पैसे की कमी है ना टाइम कम है, जितना मर्जी टाइम लो, तब आप पूरी पॉपुलेशन को सैंपल करते हो. व्हेन यू डोंट एक्सपेक्ट अ वेरी हाई रिस्पॉन्स, कोई ऐसा क्वेश्चन है आपको पता है सब लोग आंसर नहीं करेंगे, अगर आप पूरी पॉपुलेशन से पूछोगे तब जाके आपको 1000 लोगों का आंसर मिलेगा. तो इन दैट केस इट इज the plan for surveying the entire population. Then characteristic of good sample, one more characteristic is it is accessible. आप sample unit तक पहुंच सको. Low cost, आपको ज्यादा cost ना लगे. Population, also called source population or target population, is a group of individuals, person, objects or items from which samples are taken for measurement. It refers to the entire group of individuals or objects to which researchers are interested in generalizing the conclusions. Then population, what do you want to generalize to? ये theoretical population है. Generalize किसके लिए कर रहे हैं? Population के लिए. What population can you get access to? किस population तक आप पहुंच पाओ for getting the information, that is your study population. How can you get access to them? जिनके पास एक्सेस कर रहे हो वो आपका सैम्पलिंग फ्रेम है, उसमें से आप सैंपल ड्रॉ करोगे जो आपकी स्टडी के एक्चुअल पार्टिसिपेंट्स होंगे. Census obtained by collecting information about each member of a population. Studying the whole population requires a great deal of time, money, and energy. Sample survey, study sample and draw conclusions about population. It is cheaper in terms of cost, practical and convenient in terms of technicalities, and it saves time and energy. Sampling frame is a list of people from which the sample is taken. It is a list from the potential respondents drawn. It should be comprehensive, complete, and up to date. Examples of sampling frame: electoral register, postcode address file, telephone book, and so on. Probability sample. With probability sampling methods, each population element has a known non-zero chance of being chosen for the sample. Probability sampling में किसी को भी मैं ये नहीं कहूंगी कि ये बंदा सेलेक्ट नहीं हो सकता सैंपल में. हर एक का कुछ ना कुछ चांस जरूर है of being included in the sample. Non-probability. With non-probability and sampling method, we do not know the probability that each population element will be chosen, or we cannot be sure that each element has non-zero chance of being chosen. Sampling unit, unit of selection in the sampling process. Study unit, the unit on which information is collected or on which observations are made. Familiar examples are families, towns, letters, branches of a company, individual subjects, or schools. Sampling unit is not necessarily same as study unit. If the objective is to this is the wrong slide. This is a pyramid. Target population, the population to whom the results would be applied. Source population, the population from whom the study subjects would be obtained. This is a pyramid shape of what terms I have already discussed. Sampling frame, the list of potential subjects from which the sample is drawn. Sample subjects who are selected, and study subjects, actual participants in the study. A sample is expected to mirror the population from which it comes. However, there is no guarantee that any sample will be precisely representative of population. No sample is the exact mirror image of population. Now, again, this is just a repetition. Errors are sampling error and non-sampling or systematic errors. Random error, the selected sample is not representative of population due to chance. The uncertainty associated with an estimate that is based on data gathered from sample of population rather than the full population is known as sampling error. Sampling errors are the random variation in sample estimates around the true population parameters. The level of it is controlled by sample size. A larger sample size leads to smaller sampling error. It decreases with increase in size of sample and it happens to be of smaller magnitude in case of homogeneous population. But it cannot be avoided or totally eliminated. Now, why do sample estimates have uncertainty associated with them? There are two reasons. Estimates of characteristics from sample data can be different from those that would be obtained if entire population was surveyed. Estimates from one sample or subset of population can differ from those based on different samples from the same population. So there can be sample to sample variations. Chance main cause of sampling error is error that occurs just because of bad luck, just by chance. Sampling bias is a tendency to favor the selection of participants that have particular characteristics. The chance component, sometimes called random error, exists no matter how carefully the selection procedure are implemented, and the only way to minimize chance error is to select a sufficiently large sample. It is a type of systematic error in the design or conduct of sampling procedure which result in distortion of samples so that it is no longer representative of the reference population. We can eliminate or reduce non-sampling error bias by careful design of sampling procedure and not by increasing the sample size. It can occur whether the total study population or a sample is being used. The basic types of sampling error: non-response error or response or beta error. A non-response error occurs when units selected as part of sampling procedure do not respond in whole or in part. If non-respondents are not different from those that did respond, there is no non-response error. When non-respondents constitute a significant proportion of sample, about 15% or more, then there is actually non-response error. A response or data error is any systematic bias that occurs during data collection, analysis, or interpretation. Respondent error: lying means not telling the truth. Forgetting: again, I am not getting the answer. Interviewer bias: interviewer is asking question in a biased manner. Recording errors: poorly designed questionnaires. Systematic error makes survey results unrepresentative of target population by distorting the survey estimates in one direction. Random error can distort the results in any given direction but tend to balance out on average. The total survey error is sampling error plus non-sampling error. We obtain a sample rather than complete enumeration of population for many reasons. Feasibility: it may be the only feasible method of collecting data. Reduced cost: sampling reduces demands on resources such as finance, personnel, and material. Greater accuracy: sampling may lead to better accuracy of collecting data. Greater speed: data can be collected and summarized more quickly. If sampling is biased or non-representative or too small, the conclusion may not be valid and reliable. If population is very large and there are many sections and subsections, sampling procedure becomes very complicated. If the researcher does not possess necessary skill and technical knowledge, then outcome will be devastated. We can list down the characteristics of good sample as it should be representative, small sampling error. Sample design must be viable in context of funds available for research study. Systematic bias should be controlled in a better way. Sample should be such that the results of sample study can be applied in general for the universe, means for the entire population with a reasonable level of confidence. How we select the right subjects: the sample that we draw for our study determines the generalizability of our findings. It should be good representation of the population. Now, sampling method. Should we discuss these sampling methods after the class?
Yes, ma'am.
After a break?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
should I continue?
Ma'am. Ma'am.
After the break, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello. Hello.
Students, should we take a break now? Or should I continue?
Ma'am, break.
We can take a break, ma'am, but I have a question. Hello.
Ma'am, when we will rejoin?
Hello?
Madam, when we will
Hello?
rejoin? Hello?
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Am I audible to you?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Ma'am, I told this is break time. She will join at 2 p.m. और फिर rejoin at 2 p.m.
ब्रेक कितने टाइम तक का है?
दो बजे तक मैम ने ग्रुप में मैसेज करा है यहाँ पे।
ओके ओके ठीक है।
भाई तुम लोगों ने मैम को ही गायब कर दिया।
एंटीक्वेरियन। दी एंटीक्वेरियन तो वो होता है ना जो कीप ड्रग फॉर सेल एंड पुट सब प्रिस्क्रिप्शन करता है। पता नहीं है, गलत है। गलत है। क्यों, क्या होता है फिर इनमें से? यहाँ पे फिर ऑल्टरकेशन आना चाहिए यश तेरा, ऑल्टरकेशन ही आना चाहिए फिर तो। अरे देख क्या क्वेश्चन है, स्मॉल डैश बिटवीन टू चिल्ड्रन एंडेड अप एज अ ग्रुप फाइट। ठीक है, मैच जो होता है वो टीम के कैप्टन्स के बीच में होता है ना, यहाँ पे दो बच्चे हैं, उनमें कॉन्टेस्ट भी नहीं होगा। हो सकता है दो बच्चों का छोटा सा आर्ग्यूमेंट बाद में ग्रुप फाइट में बदल गया। पिछले साल ये आंसर आना है, कह रहे थे पिछले साल का पेपर है इसलिए ऑल्टरकेशन ही आएगा।
कभी
पिछले साल का पेपर है सीयूटी।
कभी
Good afternoon, students.
Good
Am I
afternoon,
audible
ma'am.
to you?
Yes, ma'am.
मैम
Students, is my voice audible?
यस मैम, आप प्लीज एक बार
Yes,
चैट
ma'am.
बॉक्स मैम, एक बार आप चैट
Yes,
बॉक्स देख
ma'am.
लीजिए मैम, लास्ट 4 और 5 मैसेजेस। अबे कुछ डिलीट हो गया। सेंड ऑफ क्लास होगी क्या?
Ma'am, are you there? आनंद सर, मैम है क्या क्लास में?
मैडम आएंगे नहीं आएंगे?
आनंद सर, मैम नहीं आएंगी क्या?